What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the airport. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here and we are back with a brand new video for you guys. This is a different type of video. This is not a preview or a recap. The Heat are currently 1-5, or sorry, 1-4. Yeah, they're just not looking good right now. So I have to do a video addressing this because I think a lot of people are panicking. So I'm here to do a video for you guys just to talk about what's going wrong for them. I have a lot of statistics pulled up that I've taken from NBA.com and a lot of things to show you guys that are interesting. A lot of problems offensively, defensively, rotations, and then I'm gonna go to what the Heat can do to turn this around. So make sure you guys, as always, leave a like if you guys like the video, subscribe if you guys are new, turn on post notifications, join the Discord in the description, and then ask questions down below for the Q&A episode. Yeah, let's get right into it, man. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So we're gonna start off with the offensive end, and I believe this is where the bulk of the problems lie. I feel like, people can say what they want to. Yeah, I know the defensive statistics are not the best either, but the offense is, I think, the biggest issue right now with this team. And it'll continue to be an issue if we don't get our stuff together. So, first of all, as you can see on the screen with the graphic and with the stats, the Heat are bottom 5 in points per game. They're bottom 5 at 104.6, which is not good at all in today's league. 104.6 would have been good in the 80s or the 90s, but in today's league, you got to be putting up at least 110. And they're not doing that. They're not doing that at all. So, listen, there's a lot of reasons for this. I feel like the biggest reason is the lack of rim pressure. I really do think that, and it's limiting our half-court offense immensely. And you can see the lack of rim pressure with the fact that we're bottom 10 in free throws attempted, so we're not getting to the line. We're not drawing contact. We're not really getting to the rim, because if we were, we would be getting fouled. We're not getting fouled. We're bottom 10 in free throws attempted. A part of the reason we're bottom 10 in free throws attempted is also because Jimmy Butler is coasting. We know he is one of the best at drawing fouls, but this season he just hasn't been engaged. Now, I know he does this whole, oh, I'm going to wait, I'm going to save my legs, I'm a troll in the regular season, but this season it's been even worse than it has been before. At least in the seasons past, he was averaging 20 points a night and he was playing solid defense. This year it's been bad. Last night he was okay, but it hasn't been good overall. And we're gonna need Jimmy to get a little bit more engaged. Now, I'm not saying he has to go full throttle, but this team is just not talented enough for him to take games off like this. We don't want to be in the play-in again. And if we do, lightning's not going to strike twice. There's a very, very low chance that we do what we did last year if we're in the play-in. A lot of stuff had to go well for this team last season for them to get to the finals. The margin for error is so low because this team is just not the most talented on paper. They're motivated, they're hungry, they have discipline, and they're a well-coached, well-run team. And that is their biggest strength. But on paper, this team is not that talented at all. So they have to play better. They do have to play better because they don't want to dig themselves into a hole. And the margin for error, like I said, is so low with this team because the chances of them doing what they did last season is close to zero right now with the way they're playing. Again, part of the rim pressure problem is that our point guard has zero burst. He cannot get to the rim. He cannot get past anybody. I would pay a lot of money to watch Kyle Lowry against all, 450 players in the NBA, and I bet you he does not get past 20 of them if you were to have one of them guarding him. He can't get past them. He's too slow. He's too old. He just can't. He's had knee issues. He's just not able to do it anymore, man. He's just not. He shouldn't be starting, and he shouldn't be the starting point guard of this team. We lack rim pressure severely. Nobody on this team can get to the rim. Jimmy can, but Jimmy's not. Tyler at times has shown he can, but that's not Tyler's game. The next point, Tyler and Love are both jump shooters. You're not asking them to get to the rim. And then Bam, who can get to the rim, he's a center. You're not going to be asking him to drive to the rim every possession. He's going to be at the paint. He's in the paint. Or coming and setting a screen. He's not going to be having the ball in his hands driving to the rim. So who on this team can get to the rim besides Jimmy? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. And the terms rim pressure has been used in so many videos now. I'm losing count. And it has not been addressed since we lost Goran. Nobody on this team could get to the rim. Goran could. Goran was pretty good at getting to the rim. Lowry cannot. That's just not, you know, we thought he was going to do that, but he's just, since he left Toronto, he's been terrible. He's been terrible. We're paying our starting point guard $30 million to average 5 points a night by shooting threes, long contested threes, occasionally hitting them. It's just not a good look. So that's just the offensive side of the ball, where they're scoring only 104 points per game. Bottom 5 in the league. What's more is that when Tyler Hero is off the floor, their offensive rating is 88, which is terrible. It's one of the worst in history when Hero's off the floor. That just shows you how little shot creating this team has. Jimmy is not engaged. He's not playing like he usually does. He's not even playing like half of what he's capable of playing. Now, I've seen people say this is not him trolling. This is actually the fact that he might be slowing down. But from everything I've heard, he had a good training camp, and he looked really, really good in the preseason, in the training camp. So I don't buy that it's his age. I really just think that he's just not playing like he normally plays, because he just doesn't care enough. And that's rare to say for Jimmy Butler, but he really does not care enough right now. He doesn't. This team has no shot creator besides Hero. And that's why they're struggling. Whenever he's off the floor, they can't generate any points because nobody can get to the rim. It's all dribble, handoff, screen. Hope somebody has a defensive miscue, and hope somebody leaves somebody open. That's just what it is. That's just what their offense is right now when Hero's not on the floor. When Hero's on the floor, you have a pull-up threat, you have a mid-range threat, you have a three-point threat, you have a 3-level scorer on the squad who can get to the rim, who can shoot the mid-range, who can shoot the three, who can handle a little bit. Not the best ball handler, but he can handle a little bit and can score the ball in bunches. When he's not on the floor, who can score on this team besides Jimmy? Bam can score, but again, you're not gonna ask your center to take that responsibility to be a shot creator. Like, it's just not his game. Jimmy should be doing that. Hero should be doing that as he is. Jimmy should be doing that. But even those two, I fear might not be enough. We need another shot creator on this team desperately. That's why we're in for Dame, in for Beal, Zach LaVine. I'm gonna go call the Bulls and ask if we can get him, because I don't care if him and Hero don't work together defensively. We need offense more than anything. I think the defense will be okay. I think the defense is very fixable, and we'll get to the defense. The offense is the problem right now for this team. Point guard play is terrible. One of the reasons the offensive rating is so low when Hero's off the floor is because we don't have another point guard apart from Lowry. Richardson is not a point guard, he's a 2. He's been forced to play the 1 because we really don't have anybody else at that position. So that's just the offense. The offense is abysmal, and I wanted to go through the offense first because I feel like that's the biggest problem right now, is the fact that we cannot score, and it's very, very difficult for this team to score in the half court with a starting lineup of Lowry, who's a negative offensively, Hero, who's good, Jimmy this season has not been there offensively, Love is a negative offensively, and then Bam, who's a center. The only shot creator in that lineup is Hero this season. Jimmy has not been a shot creator this season, and Lowry and Love only get their points from spotting up and shooting the 3, and that is even inconsistent. So that starting lineup is one of the worst in the NBA. That starting lineup has to change. I don't know what Spoelstra is gonna do, but I know he's very stubborn with his lineups. I know he likes to get things to work. And listen, Spoelstra is like 50 times smarter than me or any of you. He's the best coach in the league, so I know he'll figure this out somehow and do with what he has. This all goes back onto the front office. This is not Spoelstra's fault. He's just playing the cards that he's dealt. Who else is he gonna start a point guard? We don't have another point guard, so Lowry shouldn't be starting. He probably even shouldn't be on this team. But who else do we have? Who else is he going to play at point guard? We just don't have anybody. So this is not his fault. It's not his fault. I don't think Kevin Love should start. I think he can definitely tinker with that. I think he can definitely change that. I think Kevin Love should come off the bench. I don't think he should start at all. But Lowry is just unfortunate that because we just don't have another point guard on this team. And that, again, comes back to the front office. That comes back to the ownership. That comes back to Pat Riley. That comes back to Mickey Arison. That comes back to Andy Elisberg. All of those people need to take responsibility for that because they gave this dude one point guard to work with, and Drew Smith. That's it. That's it. We just don't have anybody else. So, like, what is he going to do? He has to play Lowry, but Lowry sucks. That's just the offense. Coming to the defense has been not great, but I don't think it's the biggest problem. The Heat are just very mediocre right now defensively. You know, 17th in defensive rating, 15th in opponent points in the paint, 15th in fast break points for the opposition, and then 19th in second chance points for the opposition. I'm pretty sure they were also like bottom 10 in defensive rebounds. They're just not a big team, which is why hence you see they're 27th in blocks. They just don't block too many shots. Bam is a switchable defender. He is a rim protector. Like he's a very good rim protector, but he's not like I'm gonna sit in the paint and block shots. He's not that type of defender. He's a guy that tries to go on the perimeter and guard 1 through 5. So naturally, he's not gonna get too many blocks. But we just don't have anybody. Even off the bench, Thomas Bryant is not a good defender. And listen, people will say Thomas Bryant looks good. If you think that, then that's fine. But we'll get to the next slide and see why the backup center spot might need reshuffling. We'll go look at that when we go to the next slide. But yeah, we don't have any rim protection, especially like Bam is a smaller center anyway, and he's guarding the perimeter a lot. We switch everything, so a lot of times the teams will just dump it off to the center who's being guarded by Lowry on a switch, and it'll be an easy bucket. We can't block shots. I think the defense will be okay with the return of Caleb Martin and with Haywood Highsmith, who came back last night. I think our defense against the Nets was good. In the fourth quarter, it wasn't, but for most of the game, the defense wasn't the problem. It was the offense, because the offense in the fourth quarter stalled, and that was the reason we lost the game. Because when you miss shots, you're going to be having to guard in transition a lot, and that's just something that is not sustainable. You can't stop people in transition all the time. I think our defense was not the problem. I think our defense is, I think our defense will be okay. With the Heat, the defense will always be okay. I'm not concerned about the defense at all, because this team is built on defense. The offense is the problem, and it has been the problem for years now. And in the playoffs, we got a lot of miracles with Jimmy Butler playing like MJ and shooters making every single three that they took. Like, that was a recipe for success last playoffs, and every single playoffs like that we've had. It's been a lot of stuff that's worked in our favor. Grinded out defense. Our defense has been really, really good in the playoffs, and the offense, was hitting their shots, and Jimmy was playing like crazy. So that's why this team was making runs, but it's not sustainable. This type of play is not sustainable. You can't expect Jimmy to save you every time. He's only getting older, and right now he's just not playing engaged enough. And the shooters are not making their shots. So, yeah, I mean that's just what it is right now. We're defensively, I think we're going to be okay with the return of Caleb and then Highsmith, and I think once you insert them back into the lineup, I think it's going to be okay defensively. So I don't think that's the big issue. I think the offense is the big issue. Speaking of rotations and bench, like I said before, we'll come to this slide. Yeah, the bench is one of the worst in the NBA right now statistically. And I get there's a lot of people who are in and out of the lineup, and I will. That's the one thing I will give Erik Spoelstra a pass, because he just has had a lot of injuries going on. But last night was no excuse. I'm sorry, bro. The Brooklyn Nets they had 4 guys out due to injury. And Mikal Bridges didn't even start the second half. He had to come off the bench. I don't know why, but last night was no excuse, bro. We were in control of that game. They were not a healthy team. We're better than them. We had more players healthy than they did. We had guys coming back. Jimmy played, Bam played, Hero played, Highsmith played. Only Levin Martin didn't play, and we still lost that game. Like, that game was inexcusable, especially because it was a must-win. Like, that's the reason I'm making this video, because I didn't think we were going to lose that game, bro. I was very, very convinced we were going to win that game. The bench is just not good. We don't have a point guard off the bench. They're trying to play Richardson a point guard. He's not a point guard. He's a 2. With Bam off the floor, the Heat are terrible. Minus 11, which is coming to my point on Thomas Bryant. You guys are going to say Thomas Bryant has looked good this season. It's not showing in the stat sheet because they're minus 11, dog, when Bam is off the floor. And now listen, a lot of this can be attributed to the fact that no matter who the backup center is, Bam is just so good where like the team is just going to drop off. But minus 11 is crazy. And I think the biggest reason is the defensive end on the backup center position, because Thomas Bryant is not a good defender. That's the one thing that he's not. He's a good offensive player, but the reason he's been cut so many times is because of his defense. And Bam is one of the best defenders in the NBA. So that's where the minus 11 is coming from, which is why Orlando Robinson, Nikola Jovic, Spoelstra might have to throw them in and try to see how things work there, because Thomas Bryant is just not getting it done on the defensive end. Martin and Highsmith have not featured in the games, in a lot of the games. I get that. you know, that's the main pass I'll give the bench, is because they have been playing shorthanded. They've had a lot of people going in and out of the lineup. They've been playing with two-way players at times. It hasn't been pretty, but they're still the second worst in the NBA, and there's no scorer. Duncan Robinson is not hitting his threes. He's only shooting 35%, and that's why their plus minus is -5, because the starters don't look good, but the bench looks seemingly worse. Love and Lowry shouldn't be starting. I feel like Lowry off the bench would really boost the bench a lot, because he can be the guy who runs the offense on the bench. He's just not good enough to do it on the starting lineup, but off the bench, I feel like he'd be really good, like he was last season in the playoffs. They're both a 0 on offense. They're both a 0 on defense. The rotations, this is just about the rotations, because they shouldn't be starting, in my opinion. Right now, Lowry, I understand why he's starting, but a trade has to be made. Maybe not now, but soon, where we bring a point guard in, or we bring somebody in. Like, I would go get Tyus Jones from Washington. He's not the prettiest name. He's not like the flashiest name. But bro, Tyus Jones is a very, very consistent point guard, and he will definitely help this squad. I would go call Tyus Jones. Kyle Lowry has an expiring. If they want Kyle Lowry, they can take him, or they can take somebody else. I would keep Kyle because we don't have a point guard off the bench. But if they want Lowry, they can take him. But Tyus Jones is an upgrade. That's just an example. You can go get anybody, but I just pointed out Tyus Jones because I think Tyus Jones would be he'd be really nice. He played with Jimmy in Minnesota. He's a very smart player. He has the lowest assist to turnover ratio in the NBA. I would go get him, bro. You can just throw Lowry in a first round pick and you get Tyus Jones very easily. It's just it's not a hard deal to do. They already have Jordan Poole at that point guard position, so Lowry can mentor him if he wants, or they can get somebody else. Like, that's just a name. That's just a sidetrack. But yeah, they don't have a scoring threat at the point guard position. Lowry is just not that. Teams play off of him. He doesn't shoot the ball enough. And when he does, he only takes contested threes. And then Love is not versatile or athletic to start at the 4. So the rotations are not on point, bro. I think Love and Lowry, you know, ideally should not be starting. I understand why Lowry is starting, but Love, definitely not. Like no way. Coming to what this team can do to turn this around. First and foremost, it starts with the best player, bro. Jimmy has to be better. Now listen, I get it. I get he's taking games off, he's doing this, he's doing that. I trust him. But this season he's been terrible. At least the past couple seasons in the regular season he's been okay. Even though he hasn't been playoff Jimmy, he's been okay. This is just bad. Like, this is not good at all. Defensively, he's not good. Offensively, he's terrible. He just has to be better. He has to be more engaged. He has to just show that he wants it more. I understand he's saving his legs for the playoffs, but we might not even get there if we're playing like this. We're 1-4 right now. We're the second worst record in the NBA, behind Memphis, or ahead of Memphis, who's missing like 10 players. They're 0-5, and we could be 0-5 too. Cade Cunningham missed that 3, but we could be 0-5, sitting right with Memphis, bro. Lowry shouldn't be starting. We need an extra point guard. Trade market. Again, I said Tyus Jones. I don't know. I thought they should have been after Harden. I thought they should have been after Holiday, Lillard, Beal. You can name on and on. Last year was Mitchell, Durant. They've had chance after chance to upgrade this team, and they haven't done it. I put most of the blame on the front office, bro, because this team is just not talented enough, and they can try to say what they want to and gas this team up. Like the coaching staff and the players, they can say, oh, we're deep, we're this and that. They are deeper, but bro, they're just not talented. And I think the fans knew that coming in. That's why everything was so negative coming into the season, because we should have got Dame. We should have got Beal. We should have got Dame. We should have got Drew. We should have got Harden. 4 players who we were all linked to. We didn't get any one of those. And listen, I don't know what we're going to do at the deadline or whenever, but this team is just not it. And Lowry shouldn't be starting. If a team wants to win a championship, Kyle Lowry at age 38 should not be starting. Kevin Love at age 35 should not be starting. Highsmith should be starting over Love. Highsmith over Love is a decision that Spoelstra can make right now. He doesn't have to wait for an extra player to come in. Thomas Bryant. I'm not saying Thomas Bryant is the problem or he's like a big issue, but he is someone that, you know, I don't think is safe at that backup center spot. Now, a lot of people are going to like him because he plays well offensively, but he's a 0 defensively. I'm not saying Jovic is a really good defender, because he hasn't been, but you got to experiment with Thomas Bryant's minutes, and you got to put Jovic in, because Jovic, every time he's played, he's looked good. Orlando Robinson, you can try him. but just experiment with the backup 5 spot, because the drop off when Bam is out the 4 is ridiculous, especially defensively. Scoring off the bench, I feel like Caleb Martin, when he comes back, should take that role of the primary scorer. He did it in the playoffs, not off the bench, but he was one of the primary scorers in the playoffs. I think he should take that role off the bench and be that spark plug, be that 6th man, because we don't have a scorer off the bench right now. We're missing that microwave, that energy, that spark off the bench. We just don't have that. We don't have a point guard either off the bench. Jay Rich is a shooting guard. He's not a point guard, so I think in the ideal world, Lowry should be the 6th man, or not the 6th man. Lowry should be the backup point guard, and we should trade for a point guard, and we should have Lowry, Jay Rich, Caleb, Love, and Thomas Bryant be the backups, or Hawkes or Jovic or any one of those. And then Duncan needs to hit his threes, bro. Duncan needs to hit his threes. He's only shooting 35% from 3 this season. He's missed a lot of threes. He needs to get back on track, bro. Duncan needs to get back on track. Nobody's talking about it, but he's not playing well. He's not hitting his shots. And again, yeah, like I said, Highsmith should be starting over Love. Highsmith, I thought, played really well last night. I thought he was one of the positives. I feel like he would fit a lot better next to Bam than Love has been, and I feel like he's one of these guys who I think would be a very, very good player to start in a clutch time game, because he does everything you want. So that is just the gist of it. This was a longer video. I had to get my stuff off and kind of tell you guys what's been the case with the Heat, offensively, defensively, rotation wise, what they can do to get better. So hopefully that gives you guys some clarity. I'm not like extremely like in panic mode, not yet, because I feel like I want to see this team at full strength before I make any judgments on this team. It's still very early. It's only been 5 games, but if it's 10 games in, if we're playing like this, then yeah, I will be in panic mode, and a trade will have to be made. So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but yeah, I'll see y'all later. As always, man, have a nice day. Peace.